So, when I first started this experiment, there was a little bit of a question that I had, and that was, what is the actual dosage that I will be, at least initially, starting with for this experiment? We don't really know that much when it comes to turkesterone. Again, it is still a relatively new supplement. Because I've always heard when it comes to legit anabolics, you want to use the minimal effective dose, I thought maybe I should apply a similar thought pattern with this. And I kept this train of thought pretty much throughout the entire first half of this experiment. However, once I kind of hit that 40th day mark, I thought maybe it's time to just get a little bit more aggressive and maybe, just maybe. So originally when I started, I was running around, I believe 3, maybe 4 towards the end, capsules per day. So this is about 150 to 200 milligrams of raw standardized turkesterone. Now, being a little bit more with experience now, and also doing a bit more research, it seems like whatever this stuff is, it's not that strong, or the dosages are definitely too light. And because of that, I have decided to bump up to 300 milligrams, or 6 capsules per day. So far from the anecdotal reports that I have seen, it seems like 3 to 6, with 6 at the upper level, the upper amount being still a good overall tolerable dose. And a big reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to avoid any potential confounding factors or confounding variables at the end of this experiment. The last thing that I want is to get to the end of this, these 60 days, and get to a point where if we don't see the results, or any results for that matter, that we are looking for, the last thing I want is to be like, well, why? Was it the nutrition? Did I not eat right? Did I not eat enough? Was it the training? Was it the dosage? Maybe I should have done more. Maybe I gotta do this all over again, except double the dosage. I don't want that. I want to get to the point where I cross all of these confounding variables.
Wax on, wax off.
These secondary external factors off the list, so that way at the end of this, we know for a fact that whether we see good results, bad results, no results, whatever it may be, we know that it was due to the turkesterone, not due to insufficient food, insufficient dosage, whatever it may be. Next up, let's look at some of the actual numbers. It's time to check up on how big is how's the weight going? We started off at 192.3 pounds, and last time I checked in with you guys, I was kind of bouncing around that 196 range, not seeing as much weight gain for like the last 10 days or so. That is over and done with, because now we have broken into 197.2 to be specific. Now, how much of that is muscle fat, water weight accumulation, sodium, water retention, glycogen, all these things? Again, we don't know. But the good news is, it doesn't really matter. The only real reason I am doing this is just to check off another confounding variable. That's the buzzword of the day. That variable is insufficient nutrition, namely not enough calories, not enough protein, not enough of the building blocks to actually utilize in conjunction with the turkesterone and the hardcore training that I am doing. And the fact that we are gaining weight indicates to me that that is not a variable. That is not going to be a potential reason for why we do or don't see the results that we are looking for. And that's kind of the point of this video. This was a very long segue, but that is what we are doing today, guys. Welcome to a full day of eating, something I actually haven't done on this channel in a little bit of time, so I think it is overdue. First meal of the day, breakfast. Now, this is going to a lot of you guys right off the bat seem kind of boring, just really, as my girlfriend likes to call it, utilitarian. That's what she kind of calls my food. She always makes fun of me because it seems like I eat for function so much more than I eat for taste. And to be honest, my rebuttal to that is, yeah, you're kind of right. This actually brings me to, there's a couple of philosophies I want to mention throughout this video. There's kind of 3 philosophies or strategies or whatever you want to call them that I kind of keep at the back of my mind. But actually, before I get to that, let me walk you through this breakfast. This is super simple, super basic, really easy foods to digest. I've never been a big fan of traditional American breakfasts where it's like eggs, bacon, sausage, 1,200 calories, 3 pounds of food, takes you an hour to make, takes you an hour to digest, then it pretty much your entire morning is gone. No, I don't have time for that, and nor do I want to. I gotta wake up, I got work to do, I gotta go to the gym, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. There's a lot of things I want to do. So for me, simplicity in terms of food, in terms of preparation, in terms of everything is so paramount, at least in my opinion. And one of the things that really helps with that, which I think you guys are going to just be grossed out really badly, is I actually consume my egg whites. I actually consume them raw. Now, this, again, is going to make like 95% of you cringe, but yes, before you freak out, you can do this. It is safe as long as your eggs are pasteurized. Pasteurization actually raises the temperature during the processing and manufacturing of whatever food you are looking at. It's not enough to cook the food, obviously, because it's raw, but it is enough to kill the bacteria, meaning that it actually is sterile and it actually is consumable, in this case, raw. And because of this, I can consume like, sometimes I do like half a carton. So it's like 250, 300 grams of egg whites, or like, I mean, what is that? That's like 11 eggs worth of egg whites. And I consume it. You guys see it in the footage. It's like what, 12 seconds? And yeah, it doesn't taste that great, I'll admit. It's not horrible, it's not great either, as long as you chase it, and this, which is why I'm having orange juice. Sometimes I do like Diet Coke, even like water. Anything at all to just wash that taste away, you're gonna be fine. And yeah, it's kind of gross, it's kind of weird, but it's so efficient. I hate eggs. I hate making them, I don't like eating them, and like then you're sitting there, you've got this sad like 1 pound of egg whites which you have to eat with a spoon. It's just like this flaky, jelly, flavorless crap. I'm like, I don't want to eat that. I don't want to spend 20 minutes doing it. If I'm gonna dislike it either way, I'd much rather chug it in 12 seconds and get on with my day. So that is philosophy number one. I know that it's hard to accept. Some people think that food should be enjoyable, food should be an experience, food should be this, food should be that. Fuck it. You are gonna have to get to a point where you eat like a fucking machine. That's pretty much the only way I can put it. Otherwise, it's still doable, but it's gonna be pretty damn hard if you wanna be a legit bodybuilder, powerlifter, whatever you do in physical development. At least in my personal opinion. Okay, number 2, pre-workout snack. This is going to help a lot of people out there who are kind of having difficulty when it comes to getting enough carbs. This is called, I believe it's called rice pudding. I've heard about this before, like on TV shows and shit. I actually had no idea this was like a real thing until I saw it for the first time at the grocery store. This thing is awesome. It's so easy to get a pretty damn high intake of carbohydrates. It tastes fantastic. And fortunately, it's not terrible. I don't know if I want to classify it as clean, but it's not as terrible as just going out and trying to get 100 grams of carbohydrates from cereals, sugars, chocolate, gummy bears, all this other shit that some people have to resort to when they are hard gainers and they find it very difficult to get enough carbohydrates. And then on the side, I'm just having a fruit. This is a peach. Again, really trying to have at least 6 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables throughout the day. Fiber, natural sugars, micronutrients, all the good stuff. Now, this is actually going to bring me into philosophy number 2, which is, as you guys might already notice, no intermittent fasting. I mean, this is like before noon and I've already had 2 meals. Intermittent fasting is something which I think a lot of people erroneously believe is like this magic tool, and it does everything. Whether you're bulking, cutting, main gaining, you name it, it's gonna do it. It's awesome. It's like the Swiss Army knife of everything. It's like muscle, fat loss, growth hormone, testosterone, this, that. It's gonna fucking do your taxes and make your dick bigger. It's just this awesome thing, when in reality, nope. Intermittent fasting is fantastic for in my opinion, and based not just anecdotally, but based on decent scientific literature when it comes to things like appetite management, hunger management, appetite suppression, getting bigger, more filling meals less frequently throughout the day, especially later into the day. However, that doesn't mean it should be used all the time by everybody under every circumstance. For example, in my case, as someone who doesn't have the biggest appetite, I am not someone who really needs that much help managing my hunger, especially when I'm already eating in a surplus. So in this case, intermittent fasting might actually do the exact opposite of what I want it to, in this case, making it harder for me to consume sufficient carbs, sufficient overall calories. And on top of that, I'm eating for performance. I'm trying to get bigger. I'm trying to get stronger. This isn't like when you are cutting and all you're trying to do is maintain muscle to the best of your ability. Right now, I want more numbers. I want more muscle. I want all of these things. And if you're working out in the mornings, it has been shown that training fasted in many cases is going to lead to a slight decrease in overall performance. For these two reasons, at least in my case at this point in time, intermittent fasting is not something that I'm utilizing. And for a lot of you out there as well who think that intermittent fasting is this magic thing that everyone should be using, not exactly the case. Analyze your situation for yourself. Alright guys, quick workout commentary because I know this is a nutrition focused video. That being said, I could not resist doing a little bit of a walkthrough because I am doing a leg day and I know it's a special occasion. I haven't done this in a while, and to make it even more of a special occasion, holy shit guys, I am actually training calves on camera. That's right, hell is freezing over as we speak. I'm actually doing them first in my workout. That's right, literally. I walk in, I'm nice, I'm fresh, I'm ready to go, and calves are the first muscle group that I train. I've always, up until now, either, let's be honest, just skipped them entirely or done them kind of half-assed at the end of my workout. You know, when it's like the 6th exercise of the day and your energy level and your intensity is just bottomed out and you kind of do it just to check it off your list. I don't want to do that anymore. I actually am going to be focused for the time being on trying to get my calves up just a little bit, perhaps taking them from embarrassingly terrible to regular plain old terrible, you know, dare I say it, taking them from a 1 out of 10 maybe to a 3 or even 4 out of 10, I don't know, but only time will tell. Next up we have the leg press, and that's right, I am right now kind of not doing squats as part of my regular leg days, my regular training strategy. There are a few reasons for this, but I think that I want to dedicate a full video to this topic on its own because honestly, like, it's a pretty big question. It's even a controversial question potentially to remove regular back squats entirely from my leg training video. But back on leg press, I usually do a little bit higher in rep range, towards the 15 reps per set, and I'll usually do 4 standard sets and then do like a big ass drop set. Like I'll do, in my case, I'm using like 6 plates on either side, and I'll just go 6, 5, 4, sometimes even as much as 3 plates per side, pretty much half the weight I originally started with, until my legs feel like absolute jello by the end of it. Moving on, I'm going to comment both on me doing hamstring curls, these are lying down leg curls, and me doing regular old leg extensions. And the reason I'm kind of referring to them at the same time is because I'm using sort of like a tactic, which you actually can't see when I do it normally, but you can see when you look underneath, when you look at the stack of weights and how they travel. This is the key, because if you see the plates when they come down, you'll notice that when they come down on the negative, the eccentric portion as I lower the weights, it's probably 2 to 3 times slower than it is on the concentric portion when I'm flexing and contracting. This is pretty much a delayed and slowed down negative, which is going to give me additional time under tension and make the exercise slightly harder. Actually, not even slightly, like it's noticeably harder. And then one extra thing I do is if you look at the weight, look at just when it's about to come down and pretty much the stack of plates are about to hit each other, they don't. And because of this, I never actually remove tension. I am literally feeling that time under tension throughout the entire exercise. For all 12, 13, 15 reps, it's just a matter of how much tension. Overall, a much more intense and, in my opinion, better workout without having to simply increase the weight. And then finally, at the end, I did a little bit of abdominal work. And yes, bear with me, guys. I know I look awkward as hell. Whenever I'm bulking up, I'll be honest, I fucking hate training abs. I do it when I'm shredding down because you want abs and this and that. But when I'm bulked up, I'm like plus 190, almost 200 pounds. And I've got like a good layer of subcutaneous body fat on my abs. I'm just not as motivated. And also, let's be honest, abs suck when it comes to training them. Every other muscle group, chest, biceps, back, fuck, even calves, I enjoy it. I like the burn. Abs is the one muscle group that just feels like shit. It feels like someone's stabbing me, and not in the good way. I'll be honest, I probably have been neglecting them a little bit or a lot more than I should. But I know that cutting is right around the corner. This bulking experiment is ending soon, so I better get a head start on finally training them again. Okay, lunchtime. This is actually technically my post-workout meal. This is called Jimmy the Greek. I got this at the mall. I was shopping with my girlfriend, and by shopping, I mean she spent 2 hours going to 17 different stores, and I went to one place, got one thing and it took me 4 minutes. So clearly I had a lot of time to kill. This is like one of my favorite things, not just when you are bulking, but when you are cutting, because it's kind of like you're eating out, but you're not eating garbage food. You have some chicken souvlaki, you've got some, you got some potatoes, you've got some rice, you've got some salad, and there's a lot of modifications you can make, in my opinion, which can make this meal very applicable whether you are bulking or if you are cutting. If you're eating at McDonald's, you're fucked either way. There's no option. If you're eating like greasy, shitty Chinese food, again, you're screwed either way. When it comes to this food, this and Japanese food, my two favorite meals when it comes to like fitness and how it fits into your fitness lifestyle. Japanese food, sushi, teriyaki, and like Greek food, chicken souvlaki, beef souvlaki, all this kind of stuff. I think it works very well. Next up, this is later in the day. This is kind of like between my lunch and dinner, kind of around like 4 or 5. I am just having a protein shake to get an extra 20-ish grams of protein. You guys already know what it is. As always, this is My Protein's Clear Whey Isolate, and you can see right here on screen, this is where it gets the name from, because if you actually like make the shake and then you let it stand for just 5 or 10 minutes until the foam and like all the bubbles clears up, you can literally see through it. Like I'm looking at the camera right now. When they say clear, they really mean clear. And the fact that it tastes like a lemonade, it tastes like a Gatorade, it tastes like all of these like nice fruity juicy things as opposed to some thick, gross, warm milkshake. Yeah, for me, it's a clear choice. As always, guys, you can save 45% off your entire order using my code VITVIP, link and discount codes in the description box below. Okay, for dinner, this is later in the day, kind of like around like 9 p.m. I am having, this is basic as shit, but again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, function over food, over enjoyment, over everything. That's my personal philosophy. I am having steak and rice. I am a basic ass guy. This is, I think, some kind of like top sirloin or strip loin, or I forget what the name of it is. Relatively lean steak, and then I'm having around 250 grams of plain old white. This is, I think it's called Calrose rice. This is the one that remains a little sticky. It doesn't actually seem like it gets fully dry. I like this one a lot. I like this one a lot more than kind of just regular old like jasmine or just regular plain rice. I get this, a little bit of soy sauce, and it tastes fantastic. This takes me straight back to when I was 19 years old and I first discovered and fell in love with bodybuilding. I started watching Pumping Iron for the first time. This takes me right back to when I was that 19-year-old kid and I had like chicken and rice, steak and rice, chicken and pasta, breakfast, lunch, and dinner all the time because I was trying to get big as hell. And this is what I saw all the big bodybuilders, the Jay Cutlers, the Ronnie Colemans, all of them in there. Not even YouTube. This is like back before that. This is like when they had those DVDs. A lot of them would eat this, and I'm just like, if I'm gonna get like that, I'm gonna do this. And although my opinions and my information and knowledge base with nutrition has evolved considerably since then, as you can tell, I'm still a big fan of the basics. And finally, for the last meal of the day, this is Greek yogurt, 0% fat, plain, regular old Greek yogurt. And I'm having on the side, this is a Hershey's almond bar. This is one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of this and Kit Kats. They are actually, pro tip, those are the two lowest calorie bars. They're only like 200 and 210 calories each, as opposed to fattier things. We're talking Snickers, O. Henry's, Coffee Crisps, Bounty. I like that too, but I don't have it as much, especially when I'm cutting. Those are a lot closer to 300 calories, whereas these are 200. These are kind of my go-to from a fitness standpoint, especially when I'm cutting. And it doesn't seem like a lot. It's like 210, 280, 290. What's the difference? Trust me. When you have 2,200 calories the entire day, those 80 to 90 calories, they add up. Okay, the final calories and macros and everything for this day are as follows. 215 grams of protein, so it's a little high. 349 grams of carbs, it's a little low, and 101 grams of fat, which is around 29% of my total calories, which is not bad. All in all, this comes out to 3,151 calories, and this for me is a good amount. And I know this not just based on these online total daily energy expenditure metabolism calculators and kind of like, hey, you get this, you figure out, you add 500 calories, all this stuff. No, that's all great and all, but the only thing that matters in my case is that my weight, which we saw earlier, is still increasing at a decent pace. And this is kind of like the third, I guess, final philosophy. Not so much a strategy, but a general philosophy at the end of the day. The only one that really matters. So many people, I get these DMs, and I'm gonna bring one up right now, actually, and I feel bad. I don't want to roast this guy or anything, although it might sound like it, so obviously I'm gonna keep him fully anonymous. Hey Igor, honestly, I'm not expecting you to see this message, but I figured I'd give it a try. Well, surprise, surprise. I really need help with my physique. I have been really skinny my whole life. I have a super hard, or long, he said, time gaining weight, and since I have a hard time gaining weight, I can't gain much muscle. I just really need some tips for someone like me. I've tried to contact so many fitness people and I never get a response. Whenever I try to look things up, I can only find information on how to lose weight, or if I can find something to gain weight, it just says to eat, and it's like, yeah, I know that. I just really want to gain some weight, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I'm 22 and 120 pounds. So this guy's thin. I mean, unless he's like 4'8", 120 is very low for a grown adult man. This is something which I see, and I see the exact opposite on the other side of the spectrum. I see people who are trying to get smaller in the sense they're trying to cut down, lose body fat, and for them it's like the advice is, duh, eat less. And they're like, imagine if someone said like, yeah, I get that, but that's not working or it's not enough. It's like, what do you think is the alternative? What advice are you looking for? What magic tips? Do you think that there is some secret food that all the legit, real, successful, natural bodybuilders are taking, and that's actually what you gotta do to get big, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I'm gonna keep it super secret. It's like we're like the fitness Illuminati and we can't let anyone know. I see a lot of young guys asking me questions like this, and they say like, what's the tip? What's the tip? There's a tip. But you've seen the tip. There's only one tip. Eat more. Now, this advice isn't always applicable, especially when you're dealing with an individual who is already relatively big, who is experienced. Take someone like me, for example. I've been training for 15 years now. I'm pretty much at my genetic limitation muscle mass wise. So for me, telling me if I want to grow and I want to get bigger and stronger, just saying eat more food, that's oversimplifying it. Because you get to a point where eating more food, I could eat 5,000 calories per day. It's not going to result in superior hypertrophy. I'm probably just going to turn to a fat ass. However, if you're not big, hell, you're not even average, you're downright skinny, again, no offense, you're not even close to the point where I am in terms of size, where it's like, okay, at this point, simply saying eat more is not really the answer. For you, it damn well is. The best metaphor or analogy that I could think of for this would be like, let's say you have an individual who is a long distance runner, but not a good one. He's not experienced at all. This is someone who can barely run a mile. Now, compare this to an individual who is really good. We're talking someone who runs like marathons semi-competitively. They've been doing this for years. They are legit. For that advanced runner, telling them, if they want to get better, simply telling them to like, hey, just run more, that is an oversimplification. That might not actually be the best course of action. For them, there are multiple other factors at such a high level of experience. It may be in their best interest to think about things like injury prevention, stretching, mobility, getting a coach, doing special periodized like interval workouts, this, that, special shoes, I don't know. It gets more complicated than just the advice of, hey, run more. However, for the individual who's on the other side of the spectrum, for you, no, it really is that simple. Before you start thinking about all this other crazy ninjutsu shit, why don't you just run more? And this directly applies to the individual, in this case, the kind of example. If you were this skinny, if you were this small, for you, I don't think it's really a good time to start thinking about everything else besides just more food. If you can't run a mile, you should just keep running until you can. And if you can't gain weight, guess what? You need to keep eating until you can. Don't worry, the complexity will come years down the road, but in the meantime, you, this kind of skinny, hard gainer, like small guy at 120 pounds with a BMI of 14, it's not that complicated. Okay guys, that about does it for me. This video has gone long enough. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for stopping by and watching me stuff my face on camera and lift embarrassingly light weights on the calf raise. We are approaching the end of this experiment. The finish line is within sight, and hopefully I will see you guys there.